Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlow, and Riley Finch. 6 signings in, and there's a few more that are in the pipeline. I believe Emerson of Chelsea is actually edging very, very close now. Riley, when you stand back and look at the business so far, are you happy? And what are your thoughts about the final 2 weeks of the transfer window and what West Ham really have to get done before it closes?
Well, mate, I want more, don't I? I mean, we all do. But if you'd have told me 6 signings at the start of this window, I mean, that was kind of what people were saying. We need at least 6 to 8 signings at the start of this window.
Yeah.
The calibre of player we've got through the door is beyond anything I think we'd have done this window. We've spent so much money. We've spent, 110 million, something close to that?
Around that, yeah, I believe that's the fee. I don't know in terms of what is that net. Are we talking? Yeah.
No, so with net, you're more talking like 95, I think, because
Right, okay.
it would have been more, but I think Vlasic went on a loan to buy, so obviously he might even come back next year. To be fair, I think that is the only piece of business I've disagreed with all summer. As much as I would have liked Onana in, I don't disagree with not getting a player in who's going to cost loads of wages. Same with some of the other players you've had to turn down, but to let Vlasic go on a loan was I think that's the only bit of business this summer that I've completely disagreed with. But yeah, look, I think we should look back and be happy. I mean, we're fourth or third, I think, biggest spenders in the Premier League at the moment.
You keep getting criticised on this. I don't know if you noticed the comments on our YouTube channel. You do get a bit of grief for what you're saying. People say, "Oh, we expected to spend that."
No, we're not though. But that's the thing. We're not. Like we've spent more than Manchester City this window, more than United. More than Liverpool. These are people who are literally challenging for the title. Yes, they probably don't need as much investment as we do, but we're not a club that can go out and spend 150 million. You tell me the last window that we spent over 70 million. It was the Pellegrini window. Before that, nowhere near that sort of money. So again, and this is what I keep saying, right? Because we're challenging for top 6 now, and we're in a very, very it's a bit like Brighton. They find themselves in a very, very lucky position to where everything's just kind of gelled for them. They brought in a manager who, Potter wasn't brought in to bring them Europa League football or top 10. He was brought in to steady the ship. They're now in a position where if they play things right, they could actually challenge for Europe because of the squad they've got. And it's the same with us. We haven't got there by spending 30, 40 million each year and gradually building up the squad. Just like Leicester, we've jumped straight from, we've skipped so many steps. We've jumped straight from relegation to a top 6 fight. So of course our squad needs a lot of investment.
The only argument with that is that you could say, well, yeah, but we shouldn't have been down in that position in the first place. But I know what you're saying. We have gone. You are correct. The facts are there. We've gone from a team that were battling to stay in the league and regularly battling to stay in the league as well, not just a one-off. We were always struggling year after year, especially after the stadium move. We never really had a good season for a good 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden things just clicked. When we came back, I think it was from the I think it might have been around the COVID time, wasn't it? And then the first lockdown, and when we came back behind closed doors, and we just seemed to hit the ground running and hit some good form, and then kept ourselves up quite comfortably in the end. Well, I say comfortably, but with a few games to go, and then all of a sudden we never really looked back. We've had 2 years back to back where we've just kind of just kept going and going. All right, there's a slight suggestion that maybe the form is slightly dipping recently, and the tail end of last season we started to fall away a little bit, and maybe we've still got a bit of a hangover from that. But you're right. I mean, I think there's a lot to be optimistic about when we're looking at the transfer window. I think the club have delivered. I think they've said what they've set out to do is to push on, to bring the right quality of players in. Let's be honest, like you said, if you look at the calibre of players we've brought in, we've not brought anyone just to fill the gaps, and it doesn't really matter where we've got them from. It seems that they're astute, clever signings. And like I've said previously, mate, I just think that the reason we've got a bit of a down, the mood's slightly low at the moment, I don't think it's much to do with signs or anything like that, or that we're not living up to the expectation. I think it's just the fact that we've not started the season that great, and that's the disappointment. I think we're sitting, everyone looks at the table, we're sitting 19th at the moment. It's got to change. People want to see us pull away from that fast.
I mean, people are welcome to criticise me because I'm a very realistic fan.
I criticise you daily. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm a very realistic fan. And I can sit here and be like, well, we should be spending 150 million, and especially considering the last few windows we've barely spent. But it doesn't happen like that. You can chuck 150 million at it, but it depends about getting the right players in. So for me, I think there is more work to be done. And don't get me wrong, I'm not satisfied necessarily with this window. But I think if you at the end of this window, if we end up with the 6 players that we've got, you have to kind of sit back and think, that is a good window for us. And you cannot tell me a single West Ham fan at the start of this window wouldn't have taken the window that we've had.
No, I mean, if we go through it, then if we go, let's start at the back and work our way through the positions. So first of all, the goalkeeper situation. It's one that we needed to get sorted. I think we know that we've needed someone to come in now and to take Fabianski's role in the long term, and Areola certainly will be doing that. Whether he should be doing it now, I think the argument is there. I think he probably should be. But having said that, I actually think Fabianski's been playing quite well. I know he picked up an injury slightly, and I think got a dead leg, didn't he, in the first game? But ultimately, I think he's played quite well. I thought he played quite well against Forest as well. I think he's looking good, and you can see why maybe the manager's sticking with him from now. And Areola, I'm guessing this will be Fabianski's last season as the first choice. That's my gut feeling. What I'm saying is though that's addressed. We brought in a goalkeeper there from a top football club, and we got pretty much decent fee for him. He was highly sought after. We got
criticised for that because apparently it's like, well, we haven't added to the squad, have we? Because he was here last year. Like you can't win.
I mean, that's a stupid argument though from that side.
It's a very stupid argument.
I mean, what's the point in it? I mean. So what would they rather then that we didn't go for Areola and get a different goalkeeper in? That would have been.
No, I'd rather we got two goalkeepers in because it's not adding to the squad. But this is what I mean, though. It's just like the players that we're getting through the door, and no one seems to be satisfied with it. But when you look back and actually think where we are, we're in a very delicate position at the moment. Because very easily this season we could finish 8th or 9th, and that could be it for us. It genuinely could be. That could be it for us.
I know what you're saying. I think the realistic thing is that we know we're not. Let's be realistic. West Ham are a top 4 club. We know that we're not there. I think there needs to be just some sort of acceptance of that. I'm not saying we can't compete for that spot, but realistically, we're not really there. We are a side really that should be in between 6th and 8th. Really, that's where we should be trying to fight to be. And I think we have got a squad for that. Maybe one that could push on a bit further. But the fact we've got so much change going on, I can't see us really smashing it this season because it's going to take a little while to gel. I'm guessing. I hope we do, but that's my feeling. But if we go back then to the back line then, so you're saying the goalkeeper we've dealt with, I think it's a very good move from the club. You then got a Gerd who was brought in. Unfortunately, I mean, it's so unfortunate with his injury. I'm still really gutted about that, like we all are. But again, what a signing. I mean, a really top drawer defender brought in there, £30 million. Again, highly sought after. A lot of clubs are in for him. I mean, people can't be disappointed with that, can they?
No, I mean, I can't imagine they would be. We paid a high fee for him, and we did crying out for a ball playing centre back. He's 26 years old, I believe. Yeah, not injury prone.
But he is now, obviously.
So maybe that's a positive. But yeah, I mean, that's a really, really good signing. And like you said, that's kind of like the level of signing we need to be making if we want to stay in the top 6. A player that's sort of been there, done that in terms of European football, but isn't quite sort of expecting European football every single year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I genuinely think I think he's a top draw signing, that is. And I'm well pleased with it. I'll just showing about his injury, but hopefully he'll come back very soon and we'll see what we've got there properly and see that class that we've been looking forward to seeing. If we stay with the defence, then we've then brought in Kira from PSG, who's come in, as you think, is a little bit of a makeshift signing slightly in terms. I don't think the club really wanted to do that. However, Diop was always going to go. I think that he wanted to go. I think Moyes didn't rate him very highly in the end, and I think it's a good move for all parties. So I see Kira's coming in as that replacement for Diop, and the fact that Diop went for more money than we brought in Kira, I think is a really good move from the club. So again, I've got absolutely no problems with that at all. He's highly rated, and I like the fact he's quite versatile. Can play at left back, which is really, let's be honest, a position we need cover for. So for me, the back line's fine. Aside from the left back, I think that's the only issue now at the moment. We've got to get it addressed. But Riley Emerson from Chelsea is looking like a deal that's going to be, it should be going our way. I think I'll be surprised if it doesn't now, from what X has been saying on Patreon. Which is, I think, if we can get a left back in and get that confirmed, Emerson confirmed, I think realistically our back line's done. Would you agree with that?
I'd agree that we need a left back, but is Emerson that left back that we need? I mean, there is a kind of weird sentiment that as soon as you kind of turn 29, 30, you're kind of not worth buying anymore because you're a bit old. I don't think that's true necessarily, but Creswell is getting older now, and I feel like if we're going to bring a left back into the club, we want a left back for the future. We want a 25, 26-year-old, and for me, that's Grimaldo. Plays for Benfica, would be available for around 15 to 20 million. And I think he's a world-class signing. I think, City have looked at him to fill that left-back spot. He's obviously played Champions League football, Europa League football. He's got really good delivery on him. He's an attacking fullback. And I think he's more defensively solid than Creswell. And I just think getting a signing like that over sort of someone like Emerson would be better. But, I haven't seen Emerson play that much.
No.
I know he doesn't really fit into Chelsea's plans. Getting him over the line for 13 million, at least we've got a left back at the club. Like, maybe we end up signing a better left back next season. He kind of seems like a short term fix to the problem.
Yeah, I agree.
More of a long term sort of fix to the problem. So that'd be my personal signing that I'd be making. But
yeah, I agree. I think it's slightly a plaster signing for me. Maybe it's just a little quick fix for the next couple of seasons. I'm not going to have a real problem with that if he can come in and do a job. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, he's the replacement for Masuaku, and I really didn't rate Masuaku at all, especially as a defender. So as long as he's an improvement on that, I'm pleased, to be honest. As long as he can come in and do a job, and the fact that he's played in the Premier League and played with Chelsea, I think that will bode quite well for us. So overall, I wouldn't be too disappointed with that. Then when you look at the midfield, we brought in Flynn Downs, obviously, to come in as a sort of central defensive midfielder. To be honest, looking at Souček, although I think we did an early season's prediction, and I think I'd said that Souček would be our most improved player this season. I think he was going to really push on, but I'm not sure, And the evidence the other day against Forest, don't get me wrong, I really like Thomas. I think he works so hard and really does try his best, but his quality at the moment is so poor. His distribution of the ball is just lazy, and even the chances now, he just doesn't even seem very clinical. He just misses.
Mate, that chance against Forest. I mean, 6'5", 6'4" CDM in the box, point blank header. That's dinner for you, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Isn't it? It's just put it in
literally.
Like
that's what he's been brought in to do. Arrive late in the box and finish.
Yeah.
And when he first came to us, he was scoring left, right, and centre, and he was big and strong, and he's playing like. I don't know if he was actually that good at passing back then, because I feel like maybe that part of his game was overlooked, considering, one, that Rice played a different position, and two, just how clinical he was. Maybe people weren't really paying attention.
Yeah.
But for me, he's like a Creswell. He's been good in the past, but in the team right now, big question marks over him. And I think we are looking at a new number 8 to sort of fill Souček's shoes.
Yes.
But again, I mean, the player we're interested in, you quite liked, didn't you?
What's this? Who are we talking about? Who are we referring to?
Vanaken, or
yeah, I am. I do like him. I think I know he's slightly older, but I think he looks a decent player. I just think midfield at the moment we're looking weak. I actually would like to see Flynn Downs given a chance at the moment. I think Souček needs a rest. It looks like it. Maybe it'll do him the world of good to be dropped, and just to say to him, look, you're not playing well enough. You need to go away and start thinking about. There's no point in keep playing badly, and then you just keep being picked every week, because you're just never going to learn from it. You're never going to. Otherwise, maybe get a deluded mind thinking, actually, I must be doing really well because I'm being picked every week.
Is Coventry good enough to fill that spot for you? Maybe give him a chance, or do we need a new number 8 to come in and step in if Downs isn't really made for the 8 position?
I think we probably need to bring someone else in, especially. I mean, I'm also thinking along the lines of Declan Rice, like. If we want to start swaying him to want to stay at the club and sign for a longer term, then he's got to be next to someone that's going to make his life a lot easier. I don't want to have him having to subsidise, having to look after somebody else too much. And I get the feeling with Coventry that'll be the case, which is sad. But I just think I'm not sure on Coventry. I don't think the fact he's not playing at the moment just shows that he's not in the manager's plans. I don't think he's going to stay. That's my gut feeling with Coventry, sadly. But
who would you sign then?
Who would I go for?
Position. If we dream into the window, my left back spot, I'm saying Grimaldo. Your number 8. If you had to bring a number 8 in the club, who would it be?
I think you put me on the spot here a bit. I'm not sure, mate. I don't really have anyone. I mean, I wanted Onana, who obviously went to Everton in the end. I thought that would have been a good signing for us. I know he was on higher wage, but I think he showed straight away for Everton. He's a really good player. I think that's what we needed to do. I think
Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher.
Conor Gallagher. Yeah, I mean. He's one we're in for. We are, I believe, we are trying to arrange a loan deal. I don't think Chelsea want to sell him, but I think we could possibly get a loan out of him. And I'm getting the impression that there's possibly talks to get Chelsea a better relationship with them because of the whole impending Rice situation, possibly. But so maybe we can play it into our favour. Conor Gallagher, I certainly won't have a problem with. I think he showed at Palace last season what a player he is. I wouldn't be disappointed. I just think we need to freshen up that midfield. I feel like the Souček Rice thing needs freshening. Souček for me just not doing it enough for me now. And watching the Nottingham Forest game the other day, and obviously with yourself, mate, was just painful. You know what I mean? With Souček, it's just his distribution frustrates me so much, and he just isn't pushed. Yeah, the form that he had in that first season is just not there at the moment, and I don't know. I think that's something we need to look at. I think that's a position now after left back, central midfielders needs sorting out.
Yeah. I mean, that Mangala fella was someone we were actually into. And you look at Forest midfield of, was it O'Brien, I think his name is?
Right, yeah.
O'Brien and Mangala.
Yeah.
And Mangala playing in the 8 was so much better than Souček. And it's just something we were just crying out for. But so I suppose in the upper sort of part of the team, we brought in Cornet for left wing. Obviously, I feel like maybe Ben Rama's going to go left wing, and we're going to try and bring, especially with Vlasic leaving, Fornells and Lanzini into the 10 role, having those two kind of rotating in between, maybe having Benny as a outright winger, and then obviously Cornet to fill in. And then we've got no cover for Jared Bowen. Is that those sort of 3 attacking players? Is that kind of enough cover for you, or do you want someone else?
I think so. I don't think we need any more than that. I genuinely don't think. I think there's one position in the pitch we probably don't need to worry about so much. I think it's more the defensive midfield area that just needs cover. I think attacking wise, I think we're okay. If we bring in one more attacking midfielder, that's of a very high caliber, I'll be happy with that. But yeah, I think so. I think there's enough there, and also the fact that we haven't mentioned really is Ben Rama's form this season, looking really good. I mean, I thought he was fantastic against Forest. He was one of his best games I've seen him play for West Ham. So I think that bodes well for us, hopefully, and hopefully he can keep that form up. Because that's the only thing I think he lacks is the sort of consistency. But I don't think it helps always taking him in out of the team.
Also, Antonio is versatile. Like, he can play the right wing spot if he needs to, and the left wing spot, I think. But that does beg the question: do we need another attacker? Berriton Diaz, obviously a player who's been linked with. I think he's been linked with a move to Marseille for just 10 million. Is that a move that we should be trying to hijack?
I wouldn't mind it. I think there'll be no harm in it. I think it's whether the player wants to be in that position where he's going to be behind 2 other players. I mean, that's the only issue.
I think he can play across the front line, which is just like Antonio, which is obviously a positive. And we know Antonio's injury record is not very good, apart from the miracle that was last season. So I wouldn't be against maybe getting someone on loan. I mean, Ismaila Sarr looks like he might be going off to Palace, but he's somebody that I'd be interested in potentially bringing in.
That was one I would like to say. I mean, Dennis, I was quite keen on, but obviously
he's that's a shame.
Which I think was a bit of a shame for us. But again, I think the hard pitch we've got is that because of the players we've got in, it's hard to then sell all the club to them because they might think, well, when am I going to be playing? So, but no, Diaz of Blackburn, I'd be very pleased with. For me, then I think it was, if we look at, it's a perfect end to the window. I want a decent left back in. At the moment, I don't mind a plaster job if it's going to be a couple of seasons. I don't mind. But ideally, like you say, I'd rather someone a bit younger and a bit more higher quality. But if it means just having the cover for now and working with it, I'm okay with that. I think then we need a decent defensive or a decent midfielder. Conor Gallagher would be fantastic, I think, to go alongside Rice. I'd be really pleased.
I'm so gutted we missed out on Nunes, man. I mean, honestly, if you watch Wolves, he's going to be an absolute storm. He's going to be Neves and Nunes is going to be one of the best partnerships in the Premier League. Mark my words, mate. He's absolutely amazing. I'm really gutted we didn't even really try and sign him.
No.
We've spent a lot of money this window. It's understandable, but just a big money CDM to replace centre mid, to replace sort of Souček, or just play an understudy Souček. I think was so needed this window. I think skipping out on Onana and Nunes, there's not really the market for an 8. You say you struggle to think of one. The market for an 8 right now is not very good to the level where we want it. Because obviously, like you say, we want to get someone in who can either play first or second fiddle to Souček. But anyone of that level is going to cost us an arm and a leg, and anyone below that level, there's no point getting in. So it's really difficult at the moment. It's going to be a difficult 2 weeks, mate.
We've got 2 weeks to go. I think there's going to be, if I'm going to put my money on it, I think there'll be 4 more new players at the club. I think
4.
4. I think they'll do 2 more permanent. My gut feeling, and probably 2 more loan.
In what positions?
I think
so left 4 more. What positions are we looking at?
Left back, centre midfielder, and I think there'll be a number 10 role and possibly another forward. That's my gut feeling,
mate. I mean, you're more optimistic than I am because, I'd love 4 more. But what about the window as it stands? What would you, everyone talks about a 10-10 window. What would you kind of rate the window right now as it stands?
8 or 9, I'd say at the moment. But 8, 9, I'm very pleased with it. I think we can't do done much better, really. Everyone's just, it's like everyone wants everything. It wants to be like FIFA, you pick a player, you go and put an offer in within. He's wearing the shirt within half hour. it's just not that, isn't it? Is it? We've just got to be a bit patient, and I think that's all we need. But overall, I think it's been decent. I mean, what do you reckon then? So I reckon you're going to be 4 more through. I reckon it'll be a left back, centre midfielder, a number 10, and I think possibly another forward or someone like a winger that can come and play amongst that group.
I think probably I think maybe 3 at a push. I think Emerson will be signed.
Yes.
I don't see us splashing out on the new centre mid. I think we're just going to get some kind of, like you say, maybe, Moyes is quite famous for his panic buys on deadline day. So who knows? You might sign a quick little Ross Barkley or someone ridiculous like that, or Oxlade-Chamberlain in the 8 role on deadline day. But,
well, I'll tell you what. One thing I would say is X has said this a few times, and I think it's kind of flown a little bit under the radar. Not many people picking up on it. And when I spoke to him, he did sort of suggest again to me about Chelsea. Keep your eye on Chelsea, because apparently they've got a lot of players they do want to let go on loan or even permanently. And he did say Loftus-Cheek is a possibility.
Oh, mate, I'd bite your hand off for Loftus-Cheek. Oh, my God.
Hudson-Odoi could be available. Obviously, we've got Emerson's available, and Conor Gallagher and Brozier. They're the kind of 5 players that I believe that West Ham have very much got interest in all of them. I'm not saying we'll get 5, of course, but I think if there's going to be some loans, it could well be Chelsea. I think they've got some players that they might want to loan out. So I still think we'll get a few more in. I really do, but it depends, doesn't it? Depends how it all pans out. But no, overall, mate, I'm confident this is going to be a very good window for us.
I think it's already been, and like you say, get a left back in, give me Loftus-Cheek. You convinced me now. I want him at the club. I mean, I feel like they'd actually let him go as well. So that's a really smart signing. Yeah, overall, I think and I think at the end of the window, a lot of people will look back and say that we've had a good window. If we'd have started off the league, and Scamacca's already scored and Cornet scored, and Aguerd's fully fit, so we've got a full back line, I think a lot of people would be less complaining about our window.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People are just frustrated because the results. I think that's more than anything. That's that people want to see some points on the ball and West Ham doing well, and the fact that we've started a bit slow. That's why. But we've got lots to be positive about, and I think we're going to a Thursday night. We get a decent result, then I think then we can really start pushing on, and I think the mood will change pretty quickly this season. I really do.
Totally agree with you, mate.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.